Welcome back. This is Algebra 2.06. I'm talking about absolute values and the less than or greater than sign. Let me work out a couple of problems for you because how you graph these two is a little bit different. Alright, so here's a problem. Since it's the absolute value, we're going to have to solve this problem actually twice. The very first one is solving for the positive value. And the second one, since it's absolute value, hopefully you watched my videos, is for the negative value of that side. So the negative value is I just put a negative sign in front of it, and I have to put brackets around it and to show that it's all completely negative. Now we can't really solve any math with this until we distribute that negative sign here, but I'm going to do a little math trick. I'm going to get rid of that negative sign by moving it to the other side. So what I want to do is I want to multiply this side by -1, making that into a positive. But if I multiply that side by -1, I have to multiply this side by -1. So what happens is I'm going to be left with 4x plus 1 on this side, and then on this side I'm going to be left with a -5. Now in a previous video though, I told you when you multiply or divide by a negative number, this sign switches. Remember that? So now we have our two things that we need to graph. Let's go ahead and solve for x and graph them. So let me see here. I'm going to do subtract a 1, 4x is less than 4, x is less than 1. So far so good. So we have this, and let's go ahead and graph it. Let's see, I know we're going to have to do something with, well, I'll just put a 0 there for reference. I know I'm going to have something to do with the number 1, and I know I'm going to have something to do with a -1 and 1/2. So let's graph this side first. So let me change pins. It says less than or equal to, first of all. I forgot that. So I know that it's less than or equal to, so I need to have a solid dot. And it says x is less than 1. So that means my line has to go this direction. Okay, and it keeps on going and going and going, but I'm just going to draw it just that far. Because since this is a less than sign here, I want to take the and statement of those two statements here. This becomes an and statement, so it has to fall into both of those. Let's graph that other side. It says x is greater than or equal to, so I'm going to have a solid dot right here, and then draw my arrow this direction. So since it has to be the intersection of those, I'm going to graph just this part here. I don't keep on going with those arrows. So that is the answer to that problem. Let me show you a different kind of a problem though, just one moment. Let me show you this problem here. This one has a greater than sign here. Let's graph that one. First of all, I set up my two sides of the equations, and then we're ready to go. Go ahead and press pause and see if you can come up with the same answers that I do. Okay, are you ready? You can let me show you what I got, and you compare it to what you've got. Okay, this is what I got, so let's go ahead and graph it. I know I'm going to need something with a 0. Let's just do the 0. I'm going to need a 2, and then I'm going to need a -6 here. Let me show you a little trick for graphing, okay? First of all, let's graph this side. It says x is greater than 2. So I know I'm going to have an open dot, and it says it's greater, so it goes this direction. Did you ever notice, let me erase something here. Did you ever notice this little quirky thing here? And that is the arrow, the end of the arrow has the same shape as the sign that we're talking about. But it only works if our equation here is in standard form. Standard form means the variable is on this side, the inequality sign is in the middle, and then the number, the constant, is on that side. It only works if it's in that format. Okay, let's try it with this one. X is less than -6. So I know I need an open thing, and it's an open one because this is not an equal sign. If this were a less than or equal sign, this would be solid. This would be solid. It's not, so I leave it as open. It says it's less than -6. Less than -6 means this direction. Now again, this is in standard format here. did you notice that the shape of the arrow matches our inequality sign? It's the same thing with this too. I don't know if you noticed that, but when we graphed it, the arrows that were in here, you can't see them now, but they did match the two signs that we had over here. But again, they're in standard format, which means the variable is on this side and the number is on this side. Okay, so I want you to graph a couple of them and see what you get. Notice that there's a difference in your answer depending on whether that is less than or greater than. Okay, everybody, I hope that helps. See you next time.